The Mercado is closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and it wishes you and yours a very happy holidays. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
The holiday season is here, and Sartor Heyman is making your shopping easy. Shop our wide selection of necklaces, earrings, or bracelets to our amazing line of watches. Looking for something truly unique? Consider our estate jewelry, or even build your own custom handcrafted piece with our in-house designers. The perfect gift at the perfect price. Christmas memories start with family and Sartor Heyman.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Have you been accused of a crime and don't know where to turn? At Liberty Law Group, we understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you're up against the legal system, you need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. Liberty Law's experienced trial attorneys are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Don't let a criminal charge ruin your life. Call Liberty Law Group at 877-42-LIBERTY. Advocates you need, trial attorneys you can trust. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
It's year-end tax saving season, and Acres is offering extraordinary buyer incentive programs. Get 20% off select late model John Deere large ag equipment. And with a special 24-month interest waiver, you can upgrade your fleet and save even more. Visit your local Acres store or go to acres.com to choose from the widest selection of John Deere tractors, combines, planters, and sprayers. Act now. Incentives expire December 31st, 2024. Financing program, subgroup credit with John Deere Financial. Some restrictions may apply.
Nebraska's Christmas Light Show is back and bigger than ever. The Magical Lights of Lincoln Christmas Show runs from Black Friday through New Year's Eve at Sandhills Global Event Center. Bring the family for a show they'll never forget, featuring over 1.5 million lights. Cost is $25 per vehicle from Monday through Thursday, $30 on Friday and Saturday, and also $30 on Christmas Eve and Day. Purchase your tickets online today at ChristmasLightsInLincoln.com and get ready to experience a drive-through light show like you've never seen before.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
At Anderson Ford, we have commission-free guides who are paid to give you a great experience, not make a sale, so you can choose the best vehicle for you. During the Get Holiday Ready sales event, lease a 2024 Ford F-150 for only $379 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1003769, $375 per month. Lease for 36 months with a free credit, 7,500 miles per year, $4,750 to assign, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 1-2-25. See delivery details.
Looking to upgrade your equipment? Landmark Implement, your John Deere dealer in Nebraska and northern Kansas, has an offer you don't want to miss. Through December, purchase a model year 2022, 23, or 24 tractor, combine, or sprayer, and take advantage of financing as low as 3.9 for 60 months. That's right. Get the equipment you need with affordable payments designed to keep your operation running strong. Stop by your local Landmark Implement today or visit landmarkimp.com to learn more. Experience the Landmark difference.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Welcome in to the Corner 3, taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NAAC to the Pac-12, the WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
Welcome in. It is the Corner 3 here on The Ticket. Really appreciate you hanging out with me here for a little while yet tonight. Been a great day here on The Ticket. Hope we keep that going here for another hour or so. 402-464-5685 if you've got any thoughts here on college basketball. We'll take them all. We'll discuss them all. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in when you do. Orders of business tonight. First things first, we will touch on Nebraska men's basketball's history in the postseason and what are the Huskers' chances this year, at least historically, of making it back to the postseason in any form or fashion, whether it is NIT or, of course, the big dance, the NCAA tournament. What does history tell us is most likely to happen to these Huskers? We'll get into that first. Second segment of the show is fun. I ran my seating list through a couple people I would consider experts in the field. I sat down and I reseeded our current 12-team college football playoff and made it a basketball tournament. So that'll be segment number 2. I will go through my picks for the games as the bracket is currently set up. If the current 12-team college football playoff was set up as a basketball tournament, who do I think would take it home? And if I reseeded the teams, redid the brackets accordingly, how would it look in terms of results from there? Last thing, then, of course, we'll take a look at the Diamond Head Classic. Meant to get to that with Stricky earlier today. Didn't get around to it. Other stuff was on our mind, including Ellie's epic, by her standards, rant on NIL in the transfer portal. Definitely make sure you go back and check out the 3 o'clock segment today. Really good discussion kicked off by Ellie and her hatred for all things transfer portal and NIL, but we moved into some more, not more interesting, but some other interesting topics as well in that segment, me and Strick. Tommy, appreciate you on the text line. Brother, he says, Austin's going full Iron Man mode. Keep it up. Hey, Tommy, I appreciate it. I got a couple waters here. My plane is no coughing attack. I'm getting over a cold. I think we're good. I think we're good to finish strong. And hey, here's the thing. It's practically Christmas weekend. I got one tomorrow. I got one on Sunday. I am looking forward to it. So I am going to squeeze all the radio juice out of me that I can today. Come back for a day on Monday. Hopefully refreshed, ready to go, and then hit the Christmas holidays with the families hard. Hope you guys are getting some Christmases in this weekend as well. I hope you're traveling and seeing family. I hope you're staying home, staying safe, seeing family, whatever it is. Hope you're able to have a great time with, of course, some college basketball on your airwaves. Nebraska will play on Christmas Day as well. So hopefully the red of Christmas shows through for the Huskers. There again, we'll get to that at the end of the show. 402-464-5685 is the number. Or if you want to drop a comment on stream, brought to you by Sartor Heyman Jewelers, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, up and available for you as well. All right. The question at hand for this first segment, if you look at program history, what are the odds that Nebraska men's basketball makes it back to the postseason? According to my math, from Wikipedia, from College Basketball Reference, those are the 2 sources I went to primarily for this. Nebraska men's basketball has 27 appearances in the 2 biggest or most important or most well-known tournaments in college basketball postseason, the NCAA tournament, and the National Invitational tournament. One of these appearances, of course, was last year when Nebraska makes it into the NCAA tournament as an 8 seed, ends up losing to number 9 seed Texas A&M. So we have to take this one out of the equation for now. So I am operating off the previous 26 NCAA tournament or National Invitational tournament appearances for Nebraska to figure out, historically, what is the most likely outcome for Nebraska men's basketball this season. Is it an NIT berth? Is it back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances? Something more, something less? That's what I set out to find. So just kind of an overview here with Nebraska men's basketball making the NCAA tournament last year. The previous time Nebraska men's basketball made the NCAA tournament was, of course, 2013-14. That run, the team that got hot behind Turan Petaway, behind Walter Pitchford and others on that team. Hate to leave any guys out, so I'll stop there. That team in 2013-14 put together a heck of a run, right? They finished 4th in the Big Ten Conference with an 11-7 record overall. But the Huskers got on a heater. They lost to Michigan by 29 up at the Chrysler Center in their first game of February, and then it was on. That loss dropped them to 11-10. Nebraska would get to 16-10. A 5-game win streak on the road at Northwestern, beat Illinois at home. The big win at number 9 Michigan State in the middle of February, 60-51 at the Breslin. Then back-to-back wins at Pinnacle Bank Arena over Penn State and over Purdue. Huskers would go on the road and lose to Illinois at the end of February by 11 points at the State Farm Center. But then 3 more wins to end the regular season for Nebraska. Northwestern here in Lincoln, on the road at Indiana by 10, and then no sit Sunday on March 9th of 2014, a 9-point Husker win over number 9 Wisconsin. That got the Huskers to 19-11. Those 2 top 10 wins within the last month of the regular season. That momentum certainly propelled Nebraska over the finish line into the NCAA tournament. First round of the Big Ten tournament, Nebraska falls to Ohio State, ranked 24th at the time, 71-67. And then Nebraska makes it into the NCAA tournament where they get beat by a couple tutties, 74-60 by the Baylor Bears. The next year, no tournament for Nebraska men's basketball, no postseason at all. The record drops from 19-13, 19-11 in the regular season to 13-18 overall, 13-17 in the regular season with a first round 3-point loss to Penn State in the Big Ten tournament. That year started out with a couple wins at home before Nebraska went on the road and lost to Rhode Island. Nebraska would go down and beat Florida State in the Big Ten ACC Challenge before losing to Creighton. Lost to Incarnate Word 74-73 that year. Did beat Kentucky, but then, this is interesting, y'all. This is interesting. Nebraska, the year after making the NCAA tournament, went out to the Stan Sheriff Center on the campus of the University of Hawaii. Lost to Hawaii, lost to the Rainbow Warriors in the first game, beat Loyola Marymount 50-42 in overtime, and then beat the Fighting Frank Soliches of Ohio 71-58 to end up finishing, I believe, 5th place in that multi-team event. So there's a similarity. The year after making the NCAA tournament, Nebraska men's basketball heads out to Hawaii, loses the first game, but ends up going 2-1. I'll give you my thoughts on if 2-1 would be an acceptable outcome for Nebraska in this year's edition of the Diamond Head Classic. BJ, appreciate you chiming in here on Twitter. He says, hard to believe Nebraska will have another undefeated home Big Ten season. I think they lose 2 at home, which means to me, they better win 3 road games in league play. I don't know if they can do that. BJ, that is a fantastic jumping off point for us here, because if you look at what Nebraska had in the Big Ten in the 2014-2015 season, what Nebraska had in the Big Ten right after that trip out to Hawaii, Nebraska came home for all of its conference games at that point. It was a loss to Indiana and a loss to Iowa to open conference play, then back-to-back wins to get back to 500. They beat Rutgers, they beat Illinois. lost by 15 on the road at top 10 Wisconsin, beat Minnesota, and then beat Michigan State at home at the end of January. That moved Nebraska to 12-7. And then the wheels fell off. Loss on the road at Michigan, loss on the road at Minnesota. Nebraska's last win of the season in 2014-15 came in the first game of February, where Nebraska beat Northwestern at home. Then it was a 13-point loss to Penn State, 10-point loss to Wisconsin, 12-point loss to Purdue, 4-point loss on the road to a loaded, incredible Maryland team. Lost by 28 at home to Iowa, 24 on the road to Ohio State, by 12 on the road at Illinois. And then another really good game against a really good Maryland team, 64-61 on senior night before that disappointing loss in the Big Ten tournament in Chicago, funny enough, to Penn State. So the wheels fell off in February for that Nebraska team in 2014-15. They obviously miss all sorts of postseason. The road ahead for this Nebraska team, they're already 1-1 in conference, right? The blowout loss on the road to Michigan State, followed up by the dominating home win by 17 points over Indiana. Well, so Nebraska will have Murray State, and then we'll get to the bracket, the next two potential opponents for the Huskers after that. They do have one more non-conference game when they do come home. It'll be on Monday, December 30th. They'll take on Southern. And then Fred Hoiberg talked about it, right? The start of conference play for Nebraska, pretty brutal. Obviously, Michigan State, borderline top 25 team. Indiana was not ranked at the time Nebraska played them, but that was a top 14, top 15 team going into the year. You split those. Well, your reward for whatever you do in the non-conference and for going 1-1, splitting those games to start conference play, is welcome in UCLA, who for my money is the favorite in the Big Ten Conference, the best defense in the Big Ten. Mick Cronin fits this conference so well. It's a shock it took him this long to get there. Then you go to Iowa, to Carver Hawkeye Arena, a place that has not historically been kind to you. You follow that up 5 days later with a road trip to, Mackey Arena. I don't believe the Huskers have ever won at Mackey Arena. That is a nightmare, a house of horrors for Nebraska men's basketball. Then you come home and you get Rutgers with two of the three best freshmen in the Big Ten Conference, I would say. Dylan Harper has been looking like the best player regardless of class in the Big Ten Conference. Ace Bailey is essentially young Kevin Durant with worse shot selection and worse handle, so don't quote me on that. But I don't know if Nebraska has anyone on Dylan Harper's level, right? That is a top two, probably NBA draft pick coming up, right? Think Terrence Shannon Jr., maybe less explosive, but certainly more under control. Dylan Harper's that dude. And those are your next four Big Ten games. Could I see Nebraska stealing one against UCLA in a defensive battle? I absolutely could. Am I putting money on it? Absolutely not. Has Nebraska won at Iowa before? Absolutely. Am I putting money on Nebraska keeping up in an offensive shootout? Let's see how this weekend goes. On the road at Purdue. Again, history tells you Nebraska doesn't win out there. So who am I to pick the Huskers to go to Mackey and beat Purdue? And then Rutgers is going to be a pain in the butt. I don't know what to make of this team. I know it's going to be a tight game. I know it's going to be a close game. Fascinated by that. Then you get on the road at Maryland. You come home for USC. Kind of scuffling USC team right now. You go to Wisconsin, who I don't believe in. Get Illinois at home. I don't like that matchup. You get your West Coast road swing at Oregon, at Washington before a couple home games. But to answer BJ's question, sorry as I beat around the bush here, can Nebraska win 3 road games in league play? One opportunity out the window. So can Nebraska go 3-6 on the road in Big Ten play? Iowa, doable. Wouldn't bet on it. Purdue, not going to bet on it. Maryland, we'll see. We'll see. Maryland's talented. Derek Queen is really good. If Braxton Mia plays well defensively on a freshman, I could see Nebraska winning that game on the road. So I'll say potential at Iowa, potential at Maryland. I still think there's potential at Wisconsin. I do. For Nebraska to win at Wisconsin, I should say. I think the Huskers can get it done out there, but right now I wouldn't pick it to happen. Oregon likes to play with fire, but that is an athletic team. That is long. It is lengthy, and it plays like it. I'm curious to see Dana versus Fred as well in that one. At Washington, I can see Nebraska winning at Washington. I can see Nebraska winning at Northwestern. They're not the same team as they have been, but that arena also hasn't necessarily been kind to the Huskers. I could see Nebraska winning at Penn State. Honestly, I could. I don't know if I fully trust them to keep it up, but Mike Rhodes has Penn State pretty well rolling right now. So I'm not banking on a win at Penn State, but it's certainly within the realm of possible for a team with aspirations like Nebraska's. And then the last road game of the year comes on March 4th on the road at Ohio State, who's down a couple of its key players right now. Transfer Aaron Bradshaw and re-addition to the program, Michi Johnson, are both away from the program for personal reasons. I thought Nebraska was going to handle Ohio State last year at the end of the year, and that didn't happen. So I really don't know what to make of Ohio State at this point. But of the 9 remaining road opportunities, honestly, the only ones that I'm like, not feeling great about it are Purdue, are Oregon, and then I would say either one of Wisconsin or Penn State at this point. Do I think Nebraska goes 6-3 on the road in its remaining 9 conference games? I do not. But if Nebraska can go 4-5 on the road, and then go honestly 5-4 at home, wouldn't be the worst. But it really depends on who you beat. Like a win over UCLA at home goes a long way. A win over Michigan, who's ranked 24th in the country currently, that would mean something. But otherwise, you're not going to move the needle much with a home win over Minnesota. You're not going to move the needle much with a home win over USC. So yes, it's number of wins. Nebraska has to bank them, but it's also who you beat. I've said this on air and it bears repeating. There's not going to be a letdown like there was for the 2014-15 team against Incarnate Word. I have enough trust in Fred Hoiberg in this group of coaches and players that there won't be a letdown like that. Sure, Nebraska had letdown moments against Bethune-Cookman in a game that was tighter than we would have thought. Rio Grande Valley played the Huskers really tight, but guess what? Seems like they're doing that to everyone this year. Even South Dakota with their style and the guys that Nebraska was missing for the bulk of that game, and Jawan Gary and Berke Boyktangel, I give Nebraska a lot of credit for how they played and how they distanced themselves from South Dakota. Avoid any major trip-ups in Hawaii, beat Southern, and then you take your chances in Big Ten play. I think 500 in Big Ten plays on the table for Nebraska. I really, truly do. Do I think Nebraska is 4 or 5 games above 500? I do not in Big Ten play. But I could see Nebraska settling. I think 13-7 is a fair range. So going 12-6 in the next 18. I could see 13-7. I don't think Nebraska wins fewer than 8 in Big Ten conference play. I think this group does have a pretty high floor. We'll have to see. And then BJ, here's the question, right? We're looking at Nebraska making it back to the tournament, right? A year after making a tournament. If Nebraska goes 9-9, it'll really depend on who they beat. Beating UCLA, beating Indiana, not Indiana, sorry, I should say Illinois. You only get UCLA once, you only get Illinois once. Both those games are at home. Nebraska wins both of those games. They are sitting pretty. Problem is, Nebraska loses both of those games. Not many great opportunities left. I don't think Ohio State's a top 25 team. I don't think Iowa's a top 25 team. Michigan, going to be a tough matchup. I'm pretty high on the Wolverines. But then you're really putting a lot of eggs in the basket of getting on a run with a couple road games before Michigan comes to town. And then you're finishing kick of Minnesota, Ohio State, and Iowa. Seems manageable, but who's to say at the end of the long grind of conference play? So if you're Nebraska, you're not relying on 10-10 to get you into the NCAA tournament. I'm absolutely with you there, BJ. But to that point, let's play this out a little bit based on my numbers. When Nebraska has made the NCAA tournament only once, have they made no postseason the next year? That was 2014-15, like we just talked about. 3 times in program history, all in the same run, 91-92, 92-93, and 93-94, Nebraska made it to the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years. On the table for this team, I'm not sure it's going to happen. It'll be fascinating to watch and see who Nebraska beats. But also 3 times, Nebraska has gone from the NCAA tournament to the NIT. That happened from 1986 into 1987. So 1986, Nebraska's an 8 seed in the Big Dance. They lose to Western Kentucky. Mo Iba gives way to Danny Nee in the head coaching chair. Nebraska goes from the NCAA tournament to finishing with a 3rd place game victory in the NIT. So not the same tournament, but still postseason for Nebraska. The other two times that happened came from 1994 to 1995, when Nebraska lost to Penn in the first round in 94, made it to the second round of the NIT in 95. And then from 1998 to 1999, Nebraska loses to Arkansas in the first round of the tournament, and then gets to the second round of the NIT in 1999. That, to me, if you ask me right now, is my prediction for this Nebraska men's basketball team. I can see them making the NCAA tournament. I'm not going to put much gusto behind that. I still need to see a little bit more. Bryce Williams answered a lot of questions for me with the way he took over late in that Indiana game. I don't know how much I trust this whole team consistently offensively. The defense is good, but Strick and I have talked about it. Sometimes when shots aren't falling, they don't re-engage on the defensive end. This team re-engages on the offensive end. And if shots aren't falling, you're on the road in a hostile environment like we saw against Michigan State, bad things happen. I don't think we see another Michigan State, right? Don't misunderstand me. Nebraska's not going to lose by 37 points again this year. That I feel confident about. But because of the relative strength of the league, Big Ten is third, fourth in the league pecking order right now. It's hard for me to see a lot of quality wins. So if Nebraska wants to be a tournament team, it's got to maximize its opportunities here at home and steal one against a surprise team on the road. But if Nebraska, quote unquote, only qualifies for the NIT, I'm not mad about that. I would tell fans, don't be upset about that. Losing maybe not your best player, but the most important player for the way that Fred Hoiberg wants to play in rink mast. Not being able to get your top transfer portal targets, but getting some older veteran pieces that are still figuring it out and finding ways to work in the system. Sure, the NIT would feel like a step back. Oh, we made the NCAA tournament last year, but only the NIT this year. It's not very often that Nebraska gets to postseason play. Again, only 27 times in program history. And out of that, 12 of the 26 times so far, Nebraska has failed to make it back to the postseason at all. There's been really one run of sustained success for this program. 83, Nebraska makes the NIT semifinals through 1999. That's a 17-year run where Nebraska qualified for any postseason 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 times out of 17 seasons. That is where the bulk of these appearances have come. I can understand fans maybe being a little let down by an NIT appearance for Nebraska a year after an NCAA tournament. But guys, Nebraska has gone from being in the postseason to no postseason at all 12 times of the 26 times. Half the time, Nebraska doesn't even make it back to any postseason. It is not a worst case scenario for Nebraska to qualify for the NIT as a 1 seed or a 2 seed and host a game or host 2 games here at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Is it as good as the NCAA tournament and getting that monkey off the back? No, it's not. Obviously, as fans, that's what you want to see Nebraska do, is take that 0 off the board, put one in the win column in the NCAA tournament. But if Nebraska is, quote-unquote, only an NIT team, it might not be through any fault of their own, right? If they do go 500 in conference play, not very often that Nebraska in the Big Ten or even the Big 12 era got there. Tough basketball conferences, to be sure, but I still think the program is moving in the right direction if it makes the postseason in back-to-back years. That's really what that big run of success was built on, plateauing and cresting with the 4 NCAA tournaments in a row, 91, 92, 93, and 94. But this is not necessarily a postseason staple of a program, especially not in the 2000s. So, to me, the goal for Nebraska men's basketball this season is make the postseason. Take advantage of your opportunities, as many as you can. But if Nebraska avoids bad losses and takes care of business at home, it'll be a postseason team. I won't promise it's an NCAA tournament team necessarily, but it should be a postseason team. And that, to me, is another sign of health in the program, that it didn't take a step forward and then take 2 steps back. This team is not going to bottom out like 2014-15 did. Barring an injury, obviously, we hope and pray that doesn't happen to any team, least of all this Nebraska team. it's in a good position. The program seems healthy. It seems like Fred Hoiberg knows what he wants and is coaching that way. If Nebraska is an NIT team, sure, I'd understand a twinge of disappointment, but let's stop it there because it would be a huge sign for the program to become a postseason staple, whatever that looks like. Appreciate your thoughts. Phil, I see your text. We got to hit our first break of the show. We will answer your text and dive into the 12-team college football playoff basketball edition. Come back with us on the Corner 3. At Fairway Meat Market, your family. And as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. The holidays are here, and Fairway has everything you need for charcuterie boards, shrimp trays, party platters, wine, beer, spirits, and more. Plus, custom fresh cuts on USDA choice or prime grade beef, all-natural pork, fresh chicken, and seafood. Your holiday meals start at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
It's year-end tax saving season, and Acres is offering extraordinary buyer incentive programs. Get 20% off select late model John Deere large ag equipment. And with a special 24-month interest waiver, you can upgrade your fleet and save even more. Visit your local Acres store or go to acres.com to choose from the widest selection of John Deere tractors, combines, planters, and sprayers. Act now. Incentives expire December 31st, 2024. Financing programs are approved credit with John Deere Financial. Some restrictions may apply.
The holiday season is here, and Sartor Heyman is making your shopping easy. Shop our wide selection of necklaces, earrings, or bracelets to our amazing line of watches. Looking for something truly unique? Consider our estate jewelry, or even build your own custom handcrafted piece with our in-house designers. The perfect gift at the perfect price. Christmas memories start with family and Sartor Heyman.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Attention all wing fans! Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today at 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
This holiday season, give the gift of good taste with a gift card from Valentino's. During double discount days, double your discount from $5 to $10 free with a $50 gift card purchase. Valentino's handcrafted pizza has been a family favorite for generations, and our gift cards make the perfect holiday gift. And right now, during gift card double discount days, when you buy $50 in gift cards, get a $10 gift card free. Happy holidays from Valentino's.
League One Volleyball is coming to Omaha this January. Featuring Olympic medalist Jordan Larson and Justine Wong-Arantes, Love Omaha Volleyball is Omaha's newest pro team. The inaugural season will showcase some of the world's best volleyball players, from medalists to NCAA champions and international superstars, with the action kicking off on January 24th at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Visit lovb.com for more information and to purchase tickets. Volleyball is the next major league.
Back to the Corner 3 on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
Well, welcome back in. I am your host, Austin Oerman. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here on our Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Text line 402-464-5685. One of them from Phil. He says, Austin, I've not followed a lot of college basketball yet this year, so I'm wondering what your pecking order for the conferences currently looks like. Well, Phil, last episode, we talked with Jacob Bigelow. He's on the Husker basketball beat, does his own podcast as well. Great guy, great hoops resource as well. Recommend you find and listen to him alongside the Corner 3. But we were talking about how the SEC, like a thief in the night, came and supplanted the ACC. My upbringing was the ACC was the best hoops conference in college basketball. You had, at least when I was growing up, right, late 2000s into the mid 2010s, you had Duke winning a couple national championships, Carolina winning some national championships, Virginia was becoming a major player again. Syracuse was certainly around the scene. You had Maryland in the conference before it jetted for the Big Ten. NC State, Wake Forest popping in and out. Pitt here and there. It was interesting as well when they moved from the Big East to the ACC. But it's pretty clearly the SEC as the number one conference right now in college basketball. At one point in December, the SEC as a conference had a 68-game winning streak. Think about that. SEC teams won 68 consecutive games. It was nuts. The SEC is on another level right now. They're hiring excellent coaches. They're recruiting excellent talent. And it's a Lincoln guy, a Nebraska guy behind a lot of it. Associate commissioner, I believe, of the SEC for basketball is his title. Garth Glissman, who was a coach here at Lincoln Parkview for a while, plenty of Nebraska connections. He's one of the geniuses behind the SEC, taking the mantle of best conference in basketball. The reason we compared the SEC and the ACC was because of the SEC-ACC Challenge, where the ACC only won 2 games. It was Clemson beating Kentucky at home, and then Duke beating Auburn at Cameron Indoor as well. Otherwise, the SEC dominated that challenge, and I think that helped push the SEC atop the Big 12 in these conference hierarchies, right? The Big 12 has been a fantastic basketball conference for really the last decade or so. We know what Kansas has done. You've had pop-ins from Kansas State, TCU here and there. Iowa State building back better. Baylor is now a national championship caliber program under Scott Drew. Texas, before it left, it blossomed into something. Oklahoma popped up here and there. Top to bottom, the Big 12 has been and continues to be a war night in, night out. Oh, and by the way, what do? You go at Houston, one of the best teams of the last 7 or 8 years under Kelvin Sampson. You go and you add, Cincinnati, kind of traditional Big East power in basketball school. You go out and you add Pac-12 giant Arizona to your conference. The always talented Arizona State joins as well. Colorado has had some NCAA tournament appearances in recent years. Utah is tough, just a brutal matchup at altitude as well. So the Big 12 has the top end talent. It has the history of success as well. So I'd go SEC 1, Big 12 2. I'll take the Big 10 third, not necessarily as a credit to the league, but mostly just by the lack of debits, to be completely honest. Because conferences 4 and 5, the Big East and the ACC have been 2 of the biggest disappointments in college basketball this year, top to bottom. If you look at the Big East, Marquette's been good. They lose their road game on the road at Iowa State by double digits, but that was a heck of a basketball game to watch. So Marquette is still good. Marquette is still solid. And then you're left grasping at straws. If the second best story in the league is, hey, DePaul looks like an average bad team instead of one of the worst college basketball programs of the century, that's not a great second story to have. Xavier, little disappointing under Sean Miller in the early going. Creighton, not disappointing. Trust me, I'm reveling in it. But for the Big East and the conference's sake, Creighton's been a bit of a letdown, and they're down their third best player and their leading scorer in Pop Isaacs. Now he's out for the year with surgery. You look at UConn, has won 21 or 22 straight games within the continental United States, still the defending back-to-back champions, but went over 3 in Maui, the most prestigious, Feast Week multi-team event. They go 0-3. That's a problem. That's a black mark for the league. You don't get credit for going playing in Maui. You get credit for winning in Maui. Look what the Maui Springboard did for Auburn. Yeah, the exact opposite of what it did for UConn. You think about Georgetown still up and down trying to get things figured out under Ed Cooley. Providence has been a bit of a letdown with Bryson Hopkins injured for them. You think about who else am I missing there in the Villanova. Villanova losing Big Five games like they never used to. Kyle Neptune might be on the hottest seat in America, but he saved it with a big win. Needed to have it, had to have it just a couple weeks ago. Your power brands aren't coming through for you in either the Big East or the ACC, but I would still say relative to expectations, I would give the Big East just by the hair on its chinny chin the nod over the ACC. I'm putting the ACC at number 5 in the conference pecking order right now. Saw this from Mark Packer, who's a basketball voice on the ACC network. He says, what's wrong with ACC men's basketball? In my opinion, the top 6 hoop brands are alphabetically Duke, Louisville, Carolina, NC State, Syracuse, and Virginia. Those proud programs have combined to win 5 quad 1 games so far this season. Duke has 3 of those 5 between the 6 teams. Those same 6 teams are 3-16 against ranked opponents. 2 of the 3 wins by Duke, who's evened it out, though, with 2 of those losses as well. Pitt was looking really good and then got stomped by 30 on the road at Mississippi State, kind of an upstart SEC program. Louisville was looking good before the injury bug bit it. Carolina has played a brutal schedule, has led in the last 3 minutes of games against some pretty darn good teams, and lost all of them. They still don't have a win over a top 150 KenPom team or top net team. I forget which metric, but either way, Carolina's beating up on cupcakes and moral victorying everyone else, but losing the actual game. NC State, always going to be hard to replicate the run they had last year with some major pieces gone. Syracuse, year 2 under Red Autry instead of Jim Boeheim, still trying to figure out who and what they are. And then Virginia, Tony Bennett retires basically on the eve of the season. Guys transfer out of a program that was already lacking in talent, relying on scheme anyways. So just for those 6, it's been a ride, on top of Pitt falling short, on top of Wake Forest not looking the part at all this year. I mean, they're running into more of a problem without a true answer at the point guard position than we even in Nebraska gave Nebraska credit for last year. So there's a lot going on with the ACC. It's kind of in trouble. It might only be 3 or a 4 bid conference when we get to March Madness. Yeah, kind of wild to think about. We're going to go through my 12-team college football playoff bracket. Now, I think that's a good segue. This might take up the last 2 segments. Just know that the 22nd, 23rd, and 25th, Nebraska men's basketball will be in action at the Stan Sheriff Center for the Diamond Head Classic. We'll see if we can save some time and get to that later in the show. But let's just take the current college football playoff bracket as it is set up right now and play through those games. Okay, so game 1, Indiana on the road at Notre Dame. If this were a basketball game, I would have Indiana winning by 8 points or so. Notre Dame can put the ball in the basket, but Notre Dame is scuffling right now with Marcus Burton injured. They haven't defended most of the last couple years under Micah Shrewsbury. The talent is getting there. Really good work on the recruiting trail, but right now, Indiana is just a better, more solid team. I do think the basketball brand would travel on the road and take down Notre Dame in that game. All right, Clemson at Texas. I have Texas by 5 in this one. Clemson, if they could play this game at home, I would take them. If Texas were a top 5 team, I would take them. I just think Texas is a little too athletic for Clemson. I think that Trey Johnson ends up being the best player in this game. Texas is a team that's not equal to the sum of its parts, and Clemson's the opposite. It's probably more than the sum of its parts, but I think that on the road at the Moody Center, Clemson would have a little bit of a tougher time, so I will take Texas in that one. Tennessee at Ohio State. Oof, brother. Ohio State is in rough form right now. Down prized transfer Aaron Bradshaw for personal reasons, and down Michie Johnson also for personal reasons. Michie Johnson is a guy, if you remember back to the Big Ten preview episode, that started his college basketball career at Ohio State, transferred to South Carolina, was part of that fantastically fun team that pushed Oregon last year in the NCAA tournament for South Carolina under head coach Lamont Paris. SEC Player of the Year consideration, first or second team All-SEC player, I forget off the top of my head, but he was really good for South Carolina last year, best or second best player. comes back to Ohio State after that year in Columbia, comes back to Columbus, and now 10 games into the season, he's taking a personal leave of absence. Not a great sign for them. Oh, and by the way, Tennessee is really freaking good at basketball. Really good at basketball. All the hype that Auburn was getting deserved because of their resume. Tennessee might have the better team. Right now, Tennessee ranks number 2 overall at Ken Pomeroy, number 2 overall at Evan Miyakawa, number 4 overall at Bart Torvik, and 2nd overall in some of the early season net rankings. They have the star power. They have the role players. Rick Barnes is certainly an accomplished coach. He's maybe why I hold off a little bit. Rick Barnes, not a guy that's ever won the big one. His teams tend to fall short in some of these big moments and these big settings, but it wouldn't matter on the road at Ohio State. I got Tennessee in a blowout, and it might honestly be a demoralizing blowout for Ohio State. That's how good Tennessee basketball is this year. Then SMU and Penn State. SMU fascinates me in terms of basketball. Andy Enfield leaves USC to go to SMU. He has the Ponies right now sitting at 44th in the net, 46th, 50th, and 56th in my analytical holy trinity. Lost some guys, added some guys. Of course, they're in the ACC right now. I don't quite know what to make of SMU quite yet, but Penn State has been so fun. Maybe the early surprise team of the season. They were middle bottom of the Big Ten last year, playing on day one of the conference tournament, but they have one of my favorite players to watch in Ace Baldwin Jr., who did a lot to get Penn State back in that game against Nebraska before the Huskers finally finished off the Nittany Lions. He's 5'11". He's a dynamic scoring guard who, oh, by the way, was also the Atlantic 10 Defensive Player of the Year when he was at VCU under Mike Rhodes. It is a perfect fit of player and coach. They get each other. They work well together. And Penn State's playing better basketball this year. Their offense especially has trended up. 39th, 49th, and 45th, according to that, excuse me, that analytical holy trinity there. But it's the defense I think is going to fall off a little bit. 37th, 30th, and 43rd right now. Pardon me as I take a drink here. But Penn State right now, sitting in the 30s with Ken Pom, Evan Miyakawa, and Bart Torvik at 29th in the net. So if you give me SMU at Penn State, I'm taking the Nittany Lions at the Bryce Jordan Center, which is honestly where good basketball goes to die. It is not a place where they see good basketball, typically. We've seen our fair shares of games in the 50s and the 40s when Nebraska's gone up there. But I think Penn State's better this year. I really do. Am I a full believer in the Nittany Lions? Not necessarily, but they're balling. So right now, I take the Nittany Lions over the Ponies. I do. On to the second round. Texas at Arizona State. Two pretty similar teams, neither one equal to the sum of its parts. I think there's more talent there than records would indicate. I'm going to take Texas. Close. Texas by 2. Tennessee at Oregon. Oregon would keep this one closer than I think they would. Seeing Zakai Ziegler versus Jackson Chelstad would be a treat. I got Tennessee by 5 on the road at Oregon. Penn State at Boise. Boise's not what it has been recently. Penn State by 3. Indiana at Georgia. Maybe the other early surprise team out of the SEC. Alongside Mississippi State. I got Georgia by 6. Then we get down to the semis, Arizona State or Texas at Tennessee. I still take Texas. But Tennessee wins that game going away. I don't think either team would score enough on Tennessee. Penn State at Georgia. I got Georgia in a close one. I think it'd be a really fun battle between Georgia's stables of guards and Ace Baldwin. But I think being at home, I think I give the nod to Georgia. So it would be an all SEC final. And I got Tennessee winning that one by 10 plus. So with the current bracket, I give the nod to Tennessee. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we get back, I will reseed the field 1 through 12. We'll set up that bracket, go through it, and we'll close out corner 3 that way. Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations, now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? That feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios on O Street.
This holiday season, give the gift of good taste with a gift card from Valentino's. During double discount days, double your discount from $5 to $10 free with a $50 gift card purchase. Valentino's handcrafted pizza has been a family favorite for generations, and our gift cards make the perfect holiday gift. And right now, during gift card double discount days, when you buy $50 in gift cards, get a $10 gift card free. Happy holidays from Valentino's.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Everyone should have a collection of something. For some, it's stamps or coins, expensive cars, or even watches. But for a lot of people, it's sports cards. And there's no better way to grow your collection than with the help of Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's first and only collector-first sports cards and memorabilia shop. Capital City Sports Cards connects collectors of all ages and demographics with unique collectibles sure to bring any collection to life, no matter the budget. Visit Capital City Sports Cards near 56th and Old Cheney or through their eBay storefront. Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's premier sports card and memorabilia store.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road. As a proud member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, Coalition Restoration stands out by providing thorough property assessments, personalized customer service, and top-notch craftsmanship. With years of experience in the industry, Coalition Restoration has built a notable reputation for having a team filled with skilled professionals and possessing the expertise to handle any roofing project, big or small. Visit their website today for a free roof assessment at www.coalitionrestoration.com or give them a call at 402-607-8186. Nebraska's Christmas Light Show is back and bigger than ever. The Magical Lights of Lincoln Christmas Show runs from Black Friday through New Year's Eve at Sandhills Global Event Center. Bring the family for a show they'll never forget, featuring over 1.5 million lights. Cost is $25 per vehicle from Monday through Thursday, $30 on Friday and Saturday, and also $30 on Christmas Eve and Day. Purchase your tickets online today at ChristmasLightsInLincoln.com and get ready to experience a drive-through light show like you've never seen before.
Back to the Corner 3 on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
We are back here one final time on the Corner 3. I promised I've been hydrating during the break and all day, but I guess 4.5 hours is about the extent for my voice. Bear with me here. One more segment to go on the Corner 3. Appreciate you being along for the ride. 402-464-5685 if you got any final comments, questions, or concerns on the text line, or drop a comment as well. All right, so the reseeded college football playoff 12-team bracket. Of course, the NCAA has talked about expanding to either 72 or more likely 76. I would hate it almost as much, if not more, if they dropped it down to only 12 teams. But for the sake of content, for the sake of creativity, for the sake of fun, the current 12-team college football playoff, what if we reseeded that and played a college basketball tournament? I had the current bracket set up with a Tennessee championship in it, and it's the Vols who are the number 1 overall seed. The metrics check out. The eye test checks out. The recent history checks out. Tennessee is a deserving number 1 overall seed in the reimagined college football playoff bracket. I've got Oregon dropping all the way down from number 1 to number 2. There's no other single-digit team in the net or any of the analytics holy trinity that I referred to. But Oregon's probably the next best and most consistent across the board. They're 20th, 25th, and 27th. My worry with them is they play with fire. They let worse teams hang around or even get out to big leads on them before they come back. Certainly some impressive wins out of the Players Era Festival in Vegas. Don't get me wrong. Oregon's good. They're deserving number 2. Number 3, I've got Clemson. Again, just rock solid, steady as she goes sort of team. Then I've got the 2 big surprises so far of the year in Georgia and Penn State at 4 and 5. So Georgia would be the 4, getting the final first round bye. I'm not doing it by conference or anything. We're just doing the first 4. 4 and 5. Georgia at 4, Penn State 5. I've got Texas at number 6. Metrics seem to like them. I can't trust them. So they're right there in the middle. SMU, I think, is close to Texas. That's why they're at number 7. Above Indiana. I've seen enough from Indiana. Institutional problems that they still haven't gotten fixed within the basketball culture, basketball realm. 3 different coaches, similar style of issues. I'm done trusting Indiana, but they're just more talented and in a better spot right now than Ohio State is. Again, down Aaron Bradshaw, down Michie Johnson. I'm not exactly buying the Diebler hire as head coach either. Ohio State's got talent. I just don't think they're in as good a spot right now as Indiana. So Ohio State ends up with the 9 seed. Boise at 10. Still a solid program. Top 60 team, borderline top 50 overall. But they're not as good as they have been in years past, especially with guys like Tyson Degenhart. Sorry, head coach Leon Rice is a good one. Arizona State comes in at number 13 for me. Again, a talented team, just not quite the sum of its parts. And I saw Duke almost double them up, hang 100 on them in an exhibition game. So I'm not buying the Sun Devils forks up, more like forks down. And then Notre Dame, probably more talented and better coached than to be the last seed in this playoff, but very clearly the worst team in the field. The net ranking of 101. They're outside of the top 75. You have those 3 main rating sites as well. So even if I like the talent and like what Micah Shrewsbury is building, this is just not their year. Give me a sec to take a drink, and we'll go through the new bracket as well here. All right, so the new bracket, Tennessee, Oregon, Clemson, and Georgia with byes. So your first round matchups, Notre Dame at Penn State. Nittany Lions win that one going away. Arizona State at Texas, a role reversal from the first time. I got Texas by 8 instead of Texas by 2. I really do think the Longhorns are just slightly better across the board, and they have the best player in the game in Trey Johnson, although watch out for Jaden Quaintance. SMU at Boise State, this would be a really good game. I think it would be back and forth, but I will give the nod to the homestanding Broncos by 3. Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State is probably more athletic, but I think Indiana's guards take over at Assembly Hall and win that one for them late. I've got Indiana by 4. So here's the second round. Penn State at Tennessee. Ace Baldwin would have himself a miserable night. Tennessee better on the interior. They've got waves of guards to throw at Baldwin. I think Tennessee wins that one going away. Texas at Oregon. Athlete to athlete, probably similar, but I think being at home, I like Oregon in this one. Trey Johnson probably goes off. I don't trust Brandon Angel to hang with him, but I think Jackson Shellstad would be the steadying force for them. So I've got Oregon by a couple possessions. This one, few possessions. I've got Ducks by 8 in a hypothetical matchup over Texas. Boise at Clemson. I think this is a 67-60 type of game, and I favor Clemson at home in that one. Georgia at Indiana, too much Georgia. Too athletic, too good at shooting the ball. I like Mike White as a coach a little bit better than I do Mike Woodson, especially right now. So give me the Bulldogs. Our semifinals then. Oregon at Tennessee. This is where I think Oregon is not allowed to play with fire. I think Tennessee would put the absolute clamps on Oregon, especially being at home. Maybe Oregon keeps this one closer than I think, but Oregon's success has pretty much come at home in Eugene or that neutral site in Las Vegas. I don't think they would handle the road trip to Knoxville very well. So give me the Vols by 10. And then Georgia, Clemson, 2 very different teams, right? Georgia with athleticism and shooting. Clemson with defense, rebounding, technicality, skill, all that fun stuff. I have the Tigers in this one. I would lean Clemson, not by much, just by a little. And then in the championship, another orange matchup, Clemson versus Tennessee, which we will not be able to get in the championship for the college football playoff. Probably no shocker, would have Tennessee winning that one. I think it would be close. I think it would be a single-digit game. I think that Clemson is just a thorn in the side. They are a pain in the butt to play against. If this game was in little old Clemson, South Carolina, you go with Clemson. You really do. They've beat, I think, 4 or 5 consecutive top 5 teams at home. But again, this game would either be played at a neutral site or more ideally, it would be played in Knoxville at Tennessee. So give me the Volunteers. Tennessee, the hypothetical winner of the 12-team college football playoff basketball edition. And for that reason, take the Volunteers, bet the house, bet everything you have on Tennessee to win it all. I kid. Please, absolutely nobody do that. They might not make it out of the first round. It's been fun. It's been a quick hour. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me, your involvement on the text line comment section as well. I'm getting out of here. I will talk to you Monday during On the Block 2 to 4. See you then.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. All